data in your persistent storage? Yes.
Yes, persistent storage. We are live, but that's okay. We can talk about that. I
Yep.
usually would sing at this point, but see that if you're watching this live, you're seeing the face and the glasses and the smile of a dear friend of mine whose name is Charles de Maere. I think I pronounced that okay. Is that all right?
Yeah. I mean, it's Demar. That's
De
how it's
Maere.
pronounced in Belgium, at least. But whenever I'm in France or Germany and so on, like people used to pronounce it Demer. So, I mean, as long as I know
Hmm.
it's me, I'm I'm good.
Well, as you know, my name gets many
Mhm.
permutations and combinations
Yeah.
happening. So
What's
the
the most
so
surprising permutation or like that you've heard?
um mm, Ron
Ron.
Ron I think is the one
Mhm.
that comes to mind. The so there's there's a few ways to play the game. Hi, this is Riffing with Ryan. I'm here with my guest Charles de Mer. I I'm not. I am whatever. Charlouis, I'll just call it. You are
Yep.
the Charlouis, the only Charlouis I
Ooh.
know. But yeah, the most surprising one was Ron. I am not offended by any pronunciation of my name because I've
Mhm.
heard them. I have really heard them all. I think the spellings are the interesting one because I played the game two ways. One is if you see the letters, you can say, "All right, how do you pronounce it?" Then we play a lovely game. You get three guesses at the pronunciation. You can ask a couple questions. I'll give you a hint, or you can opt out and get rid of the discomfort. So there's some game theory in that, which we can talk about at some point if you like.
Mhm.
And the other version of the game is, well, if you know my name is Ryan but don't know how it's spelled, that's the hard version because I I I,
Mm.
I play a game of Wordle with them. Um, and
Yep,
so
five
so here
letters. Yeah.
five letters and you really it's only three because you get the R and you get the N. And all you have to do is guess those three ones in the middle, and it
Yeah.
takes a while for most folks. And I usually don't give them all. I don't force them to endure all six. I say if they want to do it, they can.
Mm.
So anyway, that's the thing. So something is telling me that LinkedIn is not having a good time with our stream for some reason.
Hmm.
Oh, is it? I don't know. Oh, somebody's watching. Well, we'll we'll let them hang in there. Ba-ba-ba-ba-bum. I'm gonna check LinkedIn for a moment. Do you have a song you'd
Yeah.
like to sing for a moment for the folks who are seeing this on your
A
screen?
song that I'd like to sing, huh?
A song you'd
Uh,
like to sing.
no song comes to mind right now. Although since we were talking about names, I can talk about my experience with names because my name is also one weird thing, especially with the dash in the middle. And I mean, I will not start a sentence with "you wouldn't believe" because maybe you would, and so but like very often, people just think that my name is the first part of it, and so people call me Charles. But
Hmm.
there's actually a strange or a construct in French-speaking families where you put two first names together, you tie them with a little string or this dash, and then it becomes
Mhm.
a new first name. Many people have heard of what was it, the famous Marie Antoinette that got beheaded. But like
Ah.
Marie and Antoinette is also two first name, and like I'm Charles Louis. So I'm not just Charles. I'm not Louis. I'm Charles Louis. So that's the
Charlie. Mm.
yeah.
Ah, well, and that trying to think the when I first saw your name, I I mean, I thought like, how is it pronounced? I mean, I don't know what it was, but when I first heard it, when I first
Uh huh.
heard the music, when I first heard the music of your name, it was beautiful, and I really I felt that it was a nice connection to you. It's like that really makes sense. Makes sense.
Mhm.
So blah blah blah. It's not showing up on LinkedIn. Okay, fine. You're showing up on LinkedIn, hopefully.
I don't.
Um,
Oh, I don't know. I'll check. I said
Yeah.
I'd put all of that aside. I'm gonna see. What
Yeah.
does it say on LinkedIn? Oh, yes, I can join my live video event. And I am there and I can see us.
Okay. That's good.
So,
Well,
yeah.
then there you go. I'm gonna go. Here's the funny thing. Yeah, yes, folks of you, those of you who on YouTube are seeing this, um, yeah, we're kind of doing a little bit of I don't know, behind the kimono or whatever that
Oh,
is,
yeah.
behind the
Behind the
scenes stuff.
kimono. Ooh.
Ooh, oh, it's like, so I was thinking of maybe was I gonna wear this jacket, or was I gonna just wear a hoodie? You know, maybe I had a kimono. I don't know. I
I
didn't bought a
did.
kimono.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah. So now we are streaming. Good. Okay. Fine. Ah, the uncertainty and the discomfort of that is now resolved. Um. Hmm. So there's you were born in Belgium, yes?
Yep.
Born in Belgium. You're the only Belgian that I know, actually, which
Okay.
is well, yeah. Um, and I'm wondering, would you tell me a bit about how you grew up? I would like to know a bit about the young
Mm.
Charleroi. Not that you're not young now, but what is it?
Yeah. So the young Charlouis, so maybe a little bit back, because maybe not everyone's familiar with the weird country kingdom of Belgium. We
Hmm.
do have a king in Belgium, but they don't do much. I mean, like most of the thing is organized by the ministers, and I think the only like main responsibility of our king is signing the laws or something like that. But anyway,
Hmm.
that's not the. But there's a beautiful thing about Belgium is that it has three national languages. Like there's really, I mean, mostly like kind of geographically placed to the north, mostly people speak Dutch, which is
Hmm.
well, it's it's called Flemish in Belgium, but it's like a bit like Dutch. Then to the south, people speak French, the Belgian version of it, but like still French. And then there's a tiny speck to the side, close to Germany, where people speak German, and so these are the three national languages of Belgium. And this is a little bit of context because when I grew up in a northern part of Belgium in a French speaking family, but in an area where everyone spoke Flemish. So I went to school
Hmm.
in another language than the one I spoke at home. So that was actually quite interesting. And I mean, I'm not sure I remember, but I've been told the story is better. That for my first week, I just refused to sit down and everything. My first week at school because I couldn't understand anything, so I refused to sit down. I don't know, until I started understanding something, I was just like standing there and like sometimes playing with the kids. But yeah, so it was really yeah, interesting. And then
Hmm.
the more I grew up in a village in the countryside of Belgium. Back then, I think I remember every winter, at least until my 10th, there was something that. There was a lake in the village, or I mean, maybe you'd say a pond. It's depending on on the size of the thing. Belgium being
a, a
small.
s- a standing body of water.
Yeah, 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 exactly. And then when it was winter, I mean, the ice formed on the standing body of water, and then the whole village went to, to do some ice skating and so on, which was also quite interesting. It was really nice. We played whatever games that we could play on the ice, and it was always this time where when the frost started arriving, when the cold started arriving, we would play a game of dare. Like,
Hmm.
hey, who is the first one who dares to go on the ice, and let's see if it holds or not. Yeah. so,
It's a
so
game of, it's called Drowning. Is that what the game is called?
I
Drowning?
think we did not play that variant,
Okay.
but many boots have been lost and many trousers have been wet by the pond
Um,
water,
hmm,
because of this ice situation. So
hmm.
frozen pond situation.
So did the pond have a name?
No,
No.
no,
What
it
is the
was
name of your what was the name of your village?
Anzegem. Yeah.
Anzechem. Hmm. All right. I just I love hearing this French language and
Yeah.
ah so that's a little bit about where you grew up. How did well, I mean, I guess I mean I know you now, so I'm like I'm trying to release from the now and get back
Okay.
into the pieces of you that are kind of cloudy for me.
Mhm.
Um, and I, what did you study in college, and how did you progress through your youth and decide to go into adulthood or
Oh,
and yeah, so if you tell
okay.
me that the first act of your play,
Huh.
how about that?
Yeah, so the growing, I think already in the teenage years. So when I was I think when I was 15 or so. So in Belgium you've got like school is like you've got primary school from 5, 6 to 12. So like
Mhm.
6 years of primary school and then 6 years of secondary school. So from 12 until 18-ish, if you do
Mm.
everything in one go. Um which I did. So, but yeah, so like when I was 15, so like at the end of the third year of secondary school, so I was still in Flemish school, and then I told my parents it would be actually kind of nice to go in a French-speaking school, to kind of get also some kind of basis in my mother tongue.
Yeah.
And so actually, I spent all my teenage years, so the whole secondary school, in a boarding school, so which is kind of
Ooh.
a bit like Hogwarts, but without a flying broomstick. So it's a school where people stay and they sleep during the
Yeah.
week. So
Mm.
was interesting because it's also a place I think my parents told me that compared to some of my siblings that didn't go to boarding schools, they had a very like easy teenage Charlouis. Because maybe I could do all my mischief at school, and then when I remained home, I was maybe more or less inclined to go into the whole rebellious mode, because I could
Mm.
stay quiet at home and then do whatever it was at school, and then yeah.
W
So
Were you quiet? Would you how would you have characterized yourself that
huh.
way, or did I?
I think I was relatively quiet, although I did like a fair bit of mischief. Um, I remember, I think, one year where in some class, so I had put myself strategically in front of the class, so like right behind the teacher's desk. And
Mm.
then I had created some of these signs, like you've got in these television talk shows, like "oh" or applause and laughter and so on. And
Mhm.
that was actually very funny to play, and like to while the teacher was explaining to us, and I can still exactly, yeah. And so the teacher was explaining to us a very complex piece of chemistry, and then I would
Yeah.
just play with the signs, and everybody in the class would be like, "Wow!" and really react on what the teacher was saying, and she couldn't, like, she didn't know what was happening, but it was
Mm.
so.
Okay, so in that time, okay, so I'm getting an idea. So the Charlie in boarding school, were there artistic or creative activities that you went, like theater or music?
Um,
Was
so,
it, was the arts
huh,
important to you at that point?
when I was like from like 8 to 15, 16, I played the piano quite a lot. There was a piano in the first boarding school I went to, so like the Flemish one, but then in the French-speaking one there was none. So then I kind of stopped or lost touch with playing music.
Mm,
And then in my final year, so like when I was 17, 18, we decided we would do a play. We
mm,
would do the play of the 12 Angry Men. Um, but then,
mm.
during that year, also, there was a huge strike of the teachers. So, actually, there were some weeks where we could not go to school and so on. So, ultimately, the whole play thing got cancelled. We still,
Oh
I
man.
mean, did a couple of rehearsals. I just love the text of that play. It's so, I
Mm,
mean, it's a great I mean, yeah, it's a great play. I still remember it like so many years later. Um, Same year, we also tried to create a movie. So, like, I had my father's what was it, VHS super heavy camera, Super 8
yeah.
camera, and so we tried to do some stuff, but ultimately, strike and everything, we would never get everyone at the same time. So, I
Mm,
think there was some idea of doing stuff, like put a stage and do something and put people together and see what happens. It may be easy for me to say it and see it now. It was definitely unconscious back then. Um, but yeah.
mm. Oof. Well, you said 12 Angry Men, and that makes me really want to hop to the present day a
Ooh,
bit
okay.
about uh, what that means in terms of um, justice
Mhm,
and what equality really means in due process and standing up for people who can't speak for themselves when they're not in the room.
mhm.
That's a interesting concept. Um,
One
the
that's dear to my heart.
Yeah. So when I say that and you bring that memory, what comes up in your heart? Why is that so dear to you? Why does that matter to you?
So it's funny because I hadn't thought of that play for like years, and like just talking about it, but like now I can also see that it's about this jury. So I'm not sure how familiar people here are with the 12 Angry Men. I'm not going to spoil too much of it, but it's basically somebody's on a trial, and
Yeah.
then it looks like this, the 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 guy, I think it's a guy, is the perpetrator. Like, there's all the evidence points toward that, and then the
The
jury goes to the room.
accused.
Sorry. Yeah,
The
the accused,
accused.
like, yeah, he did it. Like, everyone is like
It's
so sure of it. It's a done
yeah.
thing, and the jury looks like, okay, this is going to be over in 5 minutes, and then, but there is one person who's like, hang on, wait a minute. I don't exactly remember where they start, but basically, it all starts a whole. Oh, now I get a bit blurry. It all starts a whole conversation about, okay, but like, what part is clear and what may be assumptions, or um, my friend Caitlin Walker talks about inference and evidence.
Mhm.
So, like, what is really the evidence and what are we inferring from that? And it's really, really beautiful. I think they made a movie adaptation from it. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, it is wonderful. I suggest yes.
Okay. Yeah. So, so
So
the thing that comes from that is this whole thing that I see when I've like, as a Scrum Master, Agile coach, facilitator, you name them. Ultimately, when we bring people together in workshops or whatever gatherings, coming together is that's
Togethering,
the word.
yes.
Yeah, gathering. And we want to get something out of it. Well, it's about how can we ensure that I'm going to use two negatives, don't lose anyone's voice. So how can we ensure that
Mm,
we kind of give space for everyone's voice and everyone's presence to contribute to whatever result there is?
yeah.
And it's easy and it's hard.
Well, and that's again, you're hitting another
Oof.
piece of this for me that's very present now in the moment, especially for other reasons, is that it would have been very convenient for all the jurors to say, "Oh, he did." There's all the evidence we need to say, "Well, it all makes sense. Well, why don't we just say, okay, unanimous decision that this person is gone. We all get to get back to our lives."
Yep.
The inconvenience of hard conversation, we have avoided that. Oh, well,
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
thank you.
Oh yeah.
And
I've got a party to attend to tonight, and like there's the cricket game
yeah,
or whatever.
yeah, I have lots of stuff uh, that doesn't demand anything of me.
Yeah. Mm.
And it just took that one person to say, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Not like I'm in love with this. It's not like I have some kind of ideological, flag I'm waving because of who this person is or what they look like or who they are. But it's just because I need to feel with myself. I am willing to endure the inconvenience
Mm.
of listening to the whole story and asking questions that are that aren't easy to answer.
Yeah. A-
Yeah.
and and I immediately make the link now to a book that I read a couple of months ago by Timothy Schneider, called On Tyranny. And there's a
Mm.
passage on that book that says something like institutions can't stand for themselves. We need people to support them and to to. I mean, if that juror hadn't said, "Hey, hang on a minute," well, what does that tell us about the whole process of justice? So
Yeah.
there needs to be human beings who are standing up for what is right, just, what is fair, and to do that inconvenient. Hang on a minute, because otherwise, well, it's maybe convenient, but then we will also reap what we got. So,
Mm.
yeah,
Wow. Boy, there's the idea of, well, boy, it's just we only need to have one opinion. Why do we need a jury anyway? Just
yeah,
take the judge. Let's trust. Let's outsource this decision making to the
thinking,
judge and be
yeah,
done with it.
mm,
Outsourcing our thinking, which is
yeah.
another thing I would
Oh yeah,
want to talk about,
that's a
because
rabbit hole.
that is a rabbit hole, and that is super alive in the business
Mm,
of tending and stewarding the process of humans being together in the same place and time,
mhm.
virtual place or physical place,
Yeah,
which is the
I mean,
work that drew us together.
we've been friends for years and we've never met in person, right?
Right. Right.
So, yeah.
I don't know that we ever will. And while I would love to give you a hug because I just do that kind of stuff, um,
Yep, me too.
I hope that the opportunity is there. But I'm also okay that if that we're on camera together for as long as we
Mhm.
both inhabit this planet.
Yeah.
And that is a beauty that had started just to come really at this level over, just a few years ago. We could have Zoom calls, back in 2019 or 18, which is fine. but nothing like we do now.
Mhm.
Oh wow! It took me somewhere else about the institutional, the tyranny of institutions is one thing, and the talking about I know what I was going to say: fairness and justice, and those things. There is not one fairness,
Nope.
nor is there one justice, nor is there one. I mean, oh, we can even argue about right or wrong and morality and this. And those are things that you got to have. You have to have a process to make sense
Mhm.
of human behavior, and it is not a set of rules. Do this, then that. Those deterministic kind of stuff. I mean,
No,
if I've got you on camera breaking a law, well, that's that's kind of evidence. There's not much inference there,
no, exactly.
but but the idea of these concepts that cannot be digitized,
Yeah.
I don't think that's impossible to digitize, and yet there's this momentum around humanizing things that aren't human and anthropomorphizing systems and assuming that that judgment can happen outside
Mhm.
of the soul, and
Yeah.
it can't. So yes, that's a rabbit hole. Yes, it's somewhere where I wanted to go to. Yes, I think it is exactly in the domain of facilitation
Mhm.
and being together with people.
Yeah. And just this morning, I also read a learnlet by Clark Quinn, who said something also along the lines like, we need people to work together and figure out solutions. And it seems like right now we're building a system where people are encouraged to work individually and on their own. And so, in doing so, we destroy the whole relationship building, capability building that comes with cooperation and collaboration. Because working together does not happen by putting people in a room for 10 minutes or for an hour or for half an hour or
Mhm.
half a day. This is something that needs to be nurtured and grow over time. So we do the work. In doing the work together, we also learn to trust each other. And then we also
Mhm.
learn that, we can support each other. When there's something there's a pitfall that I often fall into, well, somebody else can come in and like, hey, I'll cover this for you, and vice versa. We complement each other with an E,
Mm.
and then we also complement each other with an I.
Mm. Oh, I love that.
Sorry, that was
Mm.
a
No, but this is one of the beauties of being with you because I love those little pieces that come together that are just beautiful in the way you talk and bring stuff together. Um, yeah. So folks who may not know you may see this and just show up in their YouTube feed. How would you describe the work that you do to someone who's not in who, who you don't know, to a stranger you don't know anything about their experience or familiarity with
yeah.
how would you describe it?
I think usually I start asking them if they work alone or with people. Because depending on their answer, if I say I'm a facilitator or I do workshops, it may look like I'm a vacation organizer and doing the fun activities on the resorts things. I mean, you know, which
You
may or
kind
may
of
not be
are.
true. Yeah. But then it's because the work that I do is like there's one part which is like when I'm called in for workshops, it's basically there's like these wicked problems that don't have a clear outcome or a clear solution. But we may
Mm,
know who we need to put together to get the idea of what the first few steps are into solving this. But
yeah.
then just putting these 20 people in a room will not solve the thing. So there needs to be a kind of a lightweight process that enables this to happen. I mean, for folks familiar with open space technology, well, there is the board, the marketplace, and so on. But somebody needs to put the marketplace on wherever wall or structure it is. Like somebody needs to put the chairs or the food and so on. So like there needs to be a steward. You used the word stewardship earlier. So that there needs to be somebody that takes care of that. And so this is basically my role. I create structures for things to happen that may sound a bit, high above the
High
clouds.
concept. Yeah.
Yeah. But so and then there's also the part of the capacity building, because sometimes people, I mean, I'm only me, and sometimes people invite me over, and then I do great stuff, and they're like, "Hey, but you can't clone yourself," and so on, and maybe they want to build the skills. Well, not yet. But then I'm not
Yeah.
sure what the world would look like if too many Charlouis were there. I don't know.
It would be an even more beautiful world than it is.
Yeah, maybe. I'll check with my wife what she'd say about that. And my kids. Anyway, so learning to be a facilitator. I mean, I think coming back to this whole doing workshops and like arriving to an outcome, the key skill that I've really refined over the years is this whole adjusting live to whatever happens. Because you bring people together to solve a complex or a wicked issue. Great. You've got a plan. We're going to start working on this, and then we'll figure out that, and with that answer, we'll move on and so forth. But then suddenly, something unexpected comes up.
It never happens, but okay.
Never. Well, yeah, maybe you haven't invited the right people. Maybe some people are missing. Maybe some stuff we hadn't thought of this, or maybe suddenly the oil prices skyrocket, which causes a budgetary impact on whatever it is. So something unexpected happens. What do we do then? Well, you can't just continue following the plan, because if you continue the plan based on wrong assumptions, you will get wrong data. And as the saying is, garbage in, garbage out. So you need to adjust the process to take all of this into account.
Yeah, but it's about the best plans. I mean, there's so many ways to
Never
say
survive
it.
yeah.
Best never survive contact with the enemy or reality, or you can have the best plan in the world and it all falls to crap once you get punched in the mouth. And the Mike Tyson version of that.
Mm-hmm.
But so that leads me into a bit about the details of the work, the what brought us together. And I was trying to think of what we would title this adventure that we're having. I think exploring, because Exploration Labs, which is something. Okay, so let's go there. Why Exploration Labs? Why did you call the company that you have given birth to in the world? Why Exploration Labs? What is it about exploration that turns you on?
It took me a while to get that name. So like I started first a year as like a self-employed person before I started my company. But I didn't want just any random name. And one of the things, especially like when we work with human beings, and like very often people call transformation, we need to change things, we need to adjust, we need to adapt, we need change. Great. Change can be scary. Change can be costly. The wrong change applied on a large scale can be disastrous. So one of the good ways of going about like workshops, figuring out solutions to complex problems and so on, is to start exploring. So like the whole exploration was one of the things already. So before deciding, it's good to try things out. And then the whole labs part was like, let's do it in a controlled environment. We can do explorations, but in the lab space. I mean, I don't have a lab coat, as you can see, but like, doing controlled experiments and then learning from those and then seeing how we can, scale, adapt, adjust, Yeah, I think this adjusting and adapting is like really one of the key things. And so exploration labs, that's where it came from.
Mm.
I don't know whether it makes sense to you as well.
Well,
Maybe
sure,
it's
it
only
does.
to me.
But you're. I mean, the idea of exploring, you're going somewhere that you haven't gone before. You're seeking something new. I mean, that totally
Boldly
makes
going,
sense.
maybe.
Boldly going, boldly
Yeah.
going. Um, so, given that, so and I don't remember whether you came in through software development or project management, or that you did.
Yep.
Okay,
Software
so
development.
right, so that's kind of a key to those of you out there who don't know this. We're kind of
Hmm.
speaking in agile code a little bit about inspecting and adapting and all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Um, I would ask you, so I'm no longer in love with agile, if
Hmm.
what agile proper. So it was a torrid love affair that we're kind of friends now, but it's over for me.
Uh-huh.
Um, I would. What is your relation? What is your agile love story, if you wouldn't mind sharing?
Oh, it was really a great thing. It was when I discovered what it's like to be a Scrum Master. Uh, and I had this team working for a governmental institution in Antwerp. And we were doing, I think it was a SharePoint project. And so there was a whole development team from 3 different subcontractors. Some of them were my colleagues, but then they were from 2 other companies, working together quite okayish. But then obviously also sometimes there were some of these struggles, and I was just sent there as oh, you're going to be the Scrum Master. Well, I asked for it a bit. I wanted to try it out.
You
Uh,
asked for it.
I asked for it, but it was really great. We really learned together what it was like to work in a team, to define how we
Mm,
structure our working together, to make sure that we get the right people involved at the right time, to get the feedback in short loops and so on. Like, it was really, really amazing. We did some amazing progress because we were left alone. I mean,
hmm
not like left alone in a corner of, although it was an old building where sometimes the rain entered, but that's another story. But we were entrusted,
hmm
we were trusted to do the work.
Yeah.
So we had this person, so we had the customer who needed the tool. We had a product owner, which is like, the voice of the customer if you're not into that kind of agile speech. Um, and then regularly we would deliver the software, and then the software would be tested for a couple of weeks by the users, and then we would get feedback and so on. But then um, at some point we were like, yeah, but if we develop stuff and then people test it, but we only get feedback after a week or so, it may be long. Why don't we invite those users to the review meeting at the end of our time box, so that they can also give our feedback immediately when they see stuff? We could already start integrating this. And then people said, yeah, but the power user is actually just the client's assistant. So, I'm not sure we should invite her. I was like, hang on a minute. Cue 12 Angry Men theme song or
Yeah.
something. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
like, who said that? We can still invite her and she can say no. But so
hmm
actually, what happened the first time she came to the meeting, there was like a new part that had been developed. And then at some point, she was like, well, hey, this is going nowhere. I need 12 clicks to get through that whole process. And this is something I do 20, 30 times a day. There's no way I'm going to survive doing 12 clicks to do this.
Mm.
And so some other comments that were really coming from the bottom of her heart. And so afterwards, we sat with the team and they were like, oh, that hurt. But actually,
Mm.
what happened afterwards is they integrated this feedback and they reached out to her as well during the next developments to make sure that things were going the right way. So, coming back to what we said earlier, group dynamics, trust, and so on works by repeatedly hanging out together in work
Mm-hmm.
situations. So, it was really amazing. And at some point, so the team was working in 2 week time boxes. I'm not going to use the words because some people may or may
Yeah.
not know. So, you know,
Yeah.
beginning of the week, we start figuring out what we need to do. Then we work on it for 2 weeks, and then we deliver. But then
Mm.
the product owner sometimes came after 1 week, said, "Hey, I just saw the customer. There's some. I see that you've already done most of the stuff. There's some new stuff coming in. I'm sure you can do it." Obviously, this kind of distracted everyone's focus. But then at some point, the team said, like, "Hey, maybe we should shorten our development time from 2 weeks to 1 week." So we figure out what to do, we do 1 week, we deliver, and then if you see the client, you can change your mind as long as it's at the beginning of the
Mm.
week, and then you leave us alone during the week.
Um,
So we did that. And then we realized that some of our processes, like putting this new SharePoint release into production, normally it would take 2 hours. Well, when you've got 2 weeks to do that, 2 hours is not that much, but on a 1 week, 2 hours is suddenly a lot. So what did the team do? Oh, we'll find a way to automate this without anyone
mhm.
asking them. So that was really an agile love story or Scrum love
Mm.
story, because I think the ingredients that made it work was that the team owned the whole process.
Yeah.
We were not bound to a tool or an externally defined process that we needed to follow. Yes,
Yeah.
there was a digital tool where all the stuff we needed to work on was logged, but we had the luxury of being all together in the same room, and we could use paper and post-its, and we revisited our like board follow-up thing
Mm.
as much as was needed. So we changed our process in real time.
Mm.
Like my friend Tiagi would call it building the airplane while flying it or something.
Yeah.
But we were in control of everything. And
Mm.
so obviously it worked. I mean, obviously. So, there were
Yeah.
probably
Well,
other ingredients, but
well, sure. Well, the lesson is all sort of that it's important you build trust. You had to be in an organization where somebody was willing to release their innate desire to control other people.
mm,
Um,
yeah.
a commander controlling people, right? So,
Hmm.
hmm. So okay, well you're there, and okay, Charlie and you folks, we've got this thing going on. I'm just a meddling manager. I don't know
Yeah.
what needs to happen. Figure it out. You have carte blanche to do
Yeah.
whatever you wish to do. Um, and it sounded like also that, well, the Scrum is kind of that's the game kind of we're playing, but we're gonna adapt the game to how Scrum will work for our situation,
Hmm.
and which is it's an interest. That's somewhere I could go, but I don't know that I want to go for
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Scrum talk. But okay, so the Agile love story that got you into being in facilitation, self organization,
Yeah.
people sharing accountability for what happens, not being held accountable by some
Yeah.
pharaoh. Um,
And And this ties back also to a person you've riffed also with recently, Peter Block, also with his whole work around
mm,
community and so on, and like letting everyone be part of the solution. Yeah, and contributors, like not only participators but also contributors. They will
yeah.
design the way that we're gonna get there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's comes, you talk about community, and that the work we're talking about here, there are wide applications of that.
Mhm.
It's not just about, I mean, even less now in software because it's so much automated, but the work of people reclaiming control of their collective well-being, and not depending on anyone else to transform. Because if I don't need, if I'm depending on someone else's transformation for my
Yeah,
well-being, to have the light turn on for them to say, oh, now you have carte blanche, because
yeah.
I'm taking care of you. You're dependent on me. So this idea of independence, and it is not convenient. It is inconvenient. It's ugly, messy, awkward, and the quintessentially beautiful human experience.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah. And I think this is really like for most of the office organization or whatever work, people can figure out what to do without being bossed around. Um, the actions of controlling and like bossing people around is actually super useful in very few cases of when it's critical. When the house is on fire, well, you'd rather have somebody say, hey, get out of the house quick through that exit. So there are some times when it's useful, but most of the times our organizations are not burning.
Yeah. This.
So we can take the time, we can give people the trust for that, but be there when it matters.
Yeah. Ah. This brings me to a couple. Have you ever read The Art of Possibility by Ben Zander and Rosalind Zander?
Mm,
The story in it is about rule number 6,
okay.
and it is okay. So there's a prime minister and a dignitary from another country. There, you know where
I
I'm
think,
going with this?
is it with the
Okay.
letter? Or maybe it's not
Mm,
with the letter. Maybe tell the story because there
yeah,
maybe.
I'm trying to tell it quickly because I got so many other
Yeah.
places I want to go.
Okay.
So the story is there's a dignitary and the prime minister. They're talking about something, and an aide comes in and says, "Oh my gosh, wait, I have this going on, that going on. Do you help me? I've got this. I need your help." And the prime minister says, "Oh, hold on. Rule number 6." And then the aide goes, okay, all right. And then they just walk off. And
Okay.
then so the aide and the prime minister talk for another few minutes. Same thing happens again. Someone else comes in and says, this person did that and the other thing. And they just, I am so crazy. You need to fire them. And then, hey, rule number 6. All
Okay.
right. Okay. And then they walk out the door. And so then the
All
dignitary
right.
says to the
Uh-huh.
prime minister, well, this is like magic. I mean, you say rule number 6 and they just go do, it's like this tension is magic. What is rule number 6? And well, the rule number 6 is don't take yourself so damn seriously.
Uh,
Yeah.
no, that's a good
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
and what the reason that came to mind to me is that, well, what's at stake? If the building is on fire and okay, yes. Go if you don't have the rules all set up, if you're
Mm,
not prepared, then yes, you need to have some direction and structure, and it's got to be there because lives are on the line.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
are lives on the line necessarily in 90% of what organized effort goes on in the global corporate environment? Not really.
No.
What's at stake? What's at stake is status, affiliation, wealth
Yeah.
accumulation, those kinds of things, and
Yeah.
that people get so attached to,
Yeah.
right? So
Like
if you can release, yeah,
if we're working in the operations room in an like in a hospital, with the where the emergencies are treated, well, there people are boss around. Hey, give me this, give me that. They don't hold a power out to like, okay, how are we going to tackle this? And like everyone give
yeah.
their like, you don't have time for that.
Well, you have time to but think about all the preparation
Yeah.
that
Oh yeah.
everyone they're not planning. Oh, today I'm going to have 5 gunshot wounds
Yeah.
and 3 broken arms and 2
You know,
blisters and one
so they need to
one
be very good at that. Yeah.
and they need to be preparing based on principle all the time. and
Mhm.
you're learning and you're adapting, you're seeing, and then okay, I can't. Not every situation is going to follow because this then that this then that then this and that rules. So in the complicated world of, oh, I need a scalpel, I need sutures, I need clamps or whatever, that, and we wash our hands. So there's a procedure that
Yep.
happens, but the process there's art in the
Yeah.
process, and there's the art of being together and collaborating and being able to deal with surprise,
Oh yeah.
right? And I think this to me gets to me what when I spent the most time with you back in 2023 was with the Kishu Tenketsu workshop. And I think there's some basic principles about that I would love for you to articulate here about what is it, why is it, what, this is the next one. What is Kishu Tenketsu? Go into a breakout room and figure it out. Which I mean, that wasn't how it went, but if you wouldn't mind, I would love to hear what Kishu Tenketsu means to you and what it is.
So what Kishotenketsu means to me, I mean, it's to me it's the way to design and to be like as a facilitator or participatory, host, to design work or work experiences where we can be open to what is, where we like are ready to slightly adjust or adapt. Like, I mean, this is called riffing with Rijon. The jazz references, like, I mean, at some point, who takes over, who has the lead, no one knows. I think there is some kind of that also in Kishiteketsu. If somebody comes into a room, they may see loads of people doing stuff, moving around, but they may not even know who's in charge or what's happening, and then it's really at the end that they will realize the beauty of what they have created. Sometimes in the whole process, there's this whole, so Kshetenketsu is also based on the narrative pattern. So it was coined by my friend Francis Laleman, and it's based on the Japanese narrative pattern of Ki, Sho, Ten, Ketsu. You can try and repeat
Mm-hmm.
that a couple of times to get it. Then it rolls off the tongue. Um,
If you know it's 4 parts, it becomes a lot easier
oh
because
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah. Yeah. But one key thing of that Asian or Japanese narrative pattern is that there's always a plot twist, something like totally unexpected that, I mean, that you would not expect. That is saying twice the same thing. But so, because in most of the Western stories, there's the stories revolve around conflict, and there's a fight, there's a villain we need to overcome, and blah 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 blah. Been there,
yeah.
done that. Um, I don't know if you've seen the Korean movie Parasite. Uh,
Yes.
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 So there is this thing where you see some, poor-ish family that tries to get by doing lots of odd jobs, and then they try to, long story short, take advantage of a rich family by doing some odd jobs there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you think you know where this is going, and then suddenly something happens in relationship to the cave, which I will not spoil here. But like, this is like the whole thing, the whole mind-blowing thing where people suddenly go like, oh wait, what? Or if people have
Mm-hmm.
seen, there has been this also Japanese anime that has had quite a, like, Attack on Titans,
Mm-hmm.
or Attack on Titan. It
Yeah.
starts in a part of a big city that is surrounded by huge walls, and there's huge titans attacking this. But the more you go, it expands on the whole world, and there's much more to it than what you thought was at the beginning. And so
Mm.
basically, that's for me the essence of Kishotenketsu, is to break the patterns. Breaking sounds so destructive. It's
Disrupt.
disrupt the patterns so that we can be ready for whatever comes next.
Mm.
and have a much better, much much better outcome. Better
Yeah.
sounds a bit like word, but
Well, but no, but an outcome that works for all the participants for the reason
Mhm.
that they're there, and I think that yeah, well, and if I as I come back to it, what's been 3 years? Has it been 3 years
3 years.
since we
Yeah,
did
yeah.
that? But just the key sets the frame, right? So here
Yep.
we're with the key. The show is kind of okay. We're building the theme up, right? And
Yep.
then the 10 is the whoop is
This
that
is
is the disruption, and
the
then
plot
and then
twist.
the ketsu is the release, and that coming back to that piece, and
Yeah.
it's a very simple way to explain it. And then in the workshop, and then when you teach that, and the way I learned, which is beautiful,
Yeah.
that there are practices that you or little frames, little games that you can play within each of those phases to say, well, what do we how am I going to create the conditions for this learning to happen,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So you're facilitating the learning, you're not educating, you're not schooling, you're not teaching,
Mhm.
right? And I think this
You're
also
still
gets
bringing the theory, you're still bringing the content, but in a playful manner where everyone can also like contribute to it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's participative, self-organizing, is very creative in the sense that something
Yeah.
is being created by the people who are there, not bossed
Yeah.
around. um
And
this yeah.
and also like you mentioned this whole get to the whole release where people this is actually after the whole flip and the plot twist or whatever, this is also the importance for us to make meaning of what just happened. uh,
Mm.
Another word that I've already seen used and abused a lot about what happens there is debriefing. um, just note that if you do 5 minutes debriefing, it's not debriefing. I'd rather spend you know if I have a 2 hour workshop and we don't do at least 30 minutes of debriefing, then we are getting nowhere because the risk is otherwise like, okay, great workshop, but what happens next? No one knows. So we need time to prepare what's next as well. This and make sense of what happened.
Yeah. Well, and that's an interesting place because there's the debriefing, and that's a sense that there's a question and answer kind of. I have the brief. You know, I think there's some nuance there because again, this is the learning that Peter Block brought into me, shoved in my face, was about, okay, after we go into the breakout room with whatever question we have, of the 6 conversations, the questions that come, right? We can and then after you come out of a conversation, it's the what struck you.
Yeah.
And it's just what struck you, not come out with a report out from that
No.
breakout session. You reporting someone else's truth, but you are reporting your truth or
Yeah.
what struck you. And you don't need to hear from 50 people in the
No.
workshop. You need to hear from 3 or 4, and that gets that sense going. And I think that's and what and I mean, call it whatever debriefing. I mean, I can get tied up in the words about it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it is, how do we do
But giving.
shared sense making? How do we create
Yes.
common knowledge? And okay, so common knowledge, right? Now, okay, what is going to happen? What is our desire? What is our
Yes.
shared desire for where we want to launch? We have gone on the journey. We've told the story. We are now at the conclusion of the story. Now, where do we go from here?
And this is the key thing, like coming back to this whole thing that I told about refining the skill to be able to adjust and adapt in real time. Actually, the debriefing is the gift for the group, but also for the facilitator about like, okay, based on what's here, based on what struck them, based on what they're with, or whatever, how can we navigate the rest?
Yeah. I am very angry
Oh,
at the construct of time at this point because my world is waking up here.
yeah.
It is early in the time. If there's one question I wanted to make sure that I pose to you is, um, if the purpose of the work that you do, the work that you care most about in the world. If that purpose of that work was to heal the suffering, to heal suffering for name person you care about, that for whom you do the work, what is the suffering that your work is heals? What's the suffering that your work heals?
I'm not sure. I'm gonna start with a guess and see what unfolds from there. When I look back at the past few years, and you used also the word justice, and or fairness, and that there is not a single version of it. I think the suffering that my work tries to heal is this whole. I'm going to use the word apathy that we see in workplaces, where people are forced. I'm not going to use the word invited, but they are forced into workshops to do stuff that's already been decided. And so then they're like, why should I care? Because it's already been decided for me. And so, like, the whole disrupting of those patterns. So, the suffering that I'm trying to heal is the apathy by creating spaces for people to figure out how to solve whatever it is. And so, like, I don't like using the term giving back agency, because that means that I had it and I'm giving it back. I don't have your agency, by the way. So, but it's like,
here's my pocket. In my pocket, here's your agency.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. So it's like creating the space also for people to reclaim their agency.
Yeah.
I'm careful with words here, because
Well, no, that's cool. I mean, I would, if I might, receive because I feel that very much in that way. Did you want to articulate that a little more before I try and corral it with words?
I think it's vague enough.
It's vague. Okay, for those of you out there, that is my favorite. Charlouis, the invitation when you come back with some instructions. Okay, are those instructions vague enough? Great. Boom, in the breakouts. Yeah.
I think, again, it is about reclaiming this agency. If it's vague enough, then you can make of it whatever you like.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
No, but I love it that in that suffering, in apathy, what is it? You actually hit on what I am my current calling about that. If I think about for myself, is hopelessness.
Yeah.
Is that what if to heal hopelessness is you're creating a space for hope. And then when I heard you talk about agency, and I thought, oh wow, there's a sense of powerlessness or helplessness. Like I feel like, why try? There's no, if I'm being coerced to do something, people don't resist change. People resist coercion. They resist coercion.
Oh, yeah.
And so that, yeah, man, thank you for giving time and attention to that question, because it really feels very true.
Thank you for the question. Stay with me a bit.
Yeah. As I hate to rush us out, but is there anything that you wish to bring to the folks who are seeing this, hearing this, that you did not get the chance to do?
I'm gonna go with my answer. I don't know.
Nothing
I don't
comes
know
to
if there's
mind?
anything. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe there is, and I can't think of anything right now. Maybe the invitation to continue the conversation, if, like, if you heard this, if you want to hear more about this, or get in touch.
Yeah.
Or,
Get in touch. How do people get in touch with you? What project are you working on? What is there a specific invitation you want to offer? So how do people find you, first of all?
Well, people can find me on LinkedIn. That would be the easiest way to find me. And from there, a connection, and I think once you've got my connection, it's easy to send me a message and so on. That's the easiest. And if you ever want to chat and like to have this great big question about life, the universe, everything, I am not deep thought, so I will not give you deep thoughts answer on that question. Yeah, but it took some millennia, right, to come up with that question. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, so feel free to connect.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for the precious gift of your time and attention, and thank you to those of you out there who have deigned us worthy to be in your presence. So, with that, I'll sing us out and end the live stream, and without music, without an outro video, which I should have an outro